We've never done a podcast before.
Oh no, we haven't, have we? This is our first podcast.
Oh, hello.
It's actually quite nice. I know it's not nice in the terms of nice subject, but it's actually an important subject as well. Tell us when you're ready.
I was ready.
Oh, sorry. Well, you're not because you're moving the camera, mate. So I think quite a good topic to pick up on is kind of how the winter period kind of fits in with people and how they feel, because everyone's very different, aren't they?
Yeah. Oh, most definitely. I guess it can be quite as much as it is like quite a jolly season, it can also feel quite isolating for people during these winter periods. I think a factor to do with that is obviously the weather. So obviously having like the clocks going back, right?
I think they've already gone back though. Or did they go back again?
Was it the clocks? They went back. They didn't go forward.
Yeah, they went back. That's why it's darker.
Yeah. So having it be darker earlier doesn't help in general. Not enough sunlight. They call it the winter blues. That can't really help. And as well as that, coming to university, you're obviously away from family. For some people, you're away from family for like the first time, and furthermore, you could also be very far away, right? Like international, like even like different countries and that. So
and that would make it harder to kind of travel home because they have to think about the money to kind of get home. Yeah. So there's a financial aspect to that. So
it's interesting though, because when you put it in that perspective, it's like that kind of turns into almost like a luxury, like having like home nearby. And I think a lot of people kind of take that for granted in a way.
It shouldn't be a luxury, should it?
It shouldn't be a luxury.
We should be able to reach out to people and get to where people want to be, kind of spending time with whoever they choose to spend time with, without having to worry about. Like, obviously, the train prices are ridiculous.
And obviously, there's delays as well when it comes to trains. Like, what is it, the the Chiltern Railway line sometimes.
I think we could talk about trains all day, though, because it's so bad. Yeah. But I think it's really important to kind of talk about the loneliness side, because I think that you don't have to, what people think, be lonely as being by yourself. You can actually be lonely even when you're with people. So it's just, for me, I think it's about owning that feeling, like knowing that you're lonely and accepting that that's okay to feel lonely.
Why do you think that is, though? Why do you think that you have sometimes a sense of loneliness, even with other people? And that's quite a deep question.
It could be that someone's just, maybe there's a lot of work that's coming up, and so it might not necessarily be the fact that they feel lonely kind of because they know that there's people around, but it could be something that they specifically need to do, and it's like their responsibility, and they could feel lonely within it, and then that kind of brings on the kind of the mood at the time. And also it's kind of, I find, is when you might not be able to do the things that you're interested in or something for yourself. So it could be that you're surrounded by family, but you need your time.
Yeah, it's like you're not getting that recognition for yourself. You're not really fulfilling yourself, and you're not fulfilling your soul, I suppose. It's quite a philosophical way to look at it, but yeah.
But I think that's really important. I think it's important to recognise your own feelings, and it's not selfish to kind of say, look, I need time out, or I need to sit in a quiet room, dark quiet room for a bit, or a lot of the time, I think some people link loneliness to kind of like mental health, and I think you can just experience loneliness without having that kind of other aspects that come into it, kind of, if you like anxiety or depression and things like that, you can just experience being lonely.
Yeah. I suppose what happens as well, and this might be a bit of a long shot, but like when you're away from family for so long, when you do eventually reconnect with family, sometimes your character develops after being away for so long, and you almost kind of become a different person. Because, being at uni, you do get a lot of sort of like character building, you gain a lot of character building like attributes and skills, just throughout, learning different skills, or like just living life in general. So when you kind of come back to the family life, you sort of have a different perspective on things.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of what happened to me. When I was away for the first time, this was like when I first joined uni. It was the longest I've ever been away from, like, my family, from my mum. And when the first time I came back to see my mum, already it kind of felt a bit different, because I already felt as though, like, I felt more of like an independent person, more of like a free thinker.
So a
Not
bit
that
like
I wasn't
more of
before.
a separation,
Yeah.
in a sense of.
Yeah, not that I wasn't before, but it's like it was a different vibe, and that's only going to get more intense as you go along through your studies, and like the longer you stay away from home. And for some people, they don't see their family for like a full, like 6 months, or maybe even like up to a year, and that could be because obviously, like, being like an international student, they just wouldn't see them, and then that can maybe have a feeling of like isolation when you do go back home, because you feel like you don't really fit in a way.
Yeah.
You feel like you're not the same person that you were.
And with kind of individualised experiences. So mine was like when I joined, it was the COVID period. So we had to do a lot of, the theory was that, luckily, like, we already knew that 6 months was going to be theory, but you had to make sure you had the laptops. But then the loneliness kicked in the sense that you didn't feel connected to like your cohort, so you felt that there was a disconnect there. You felt lonely because you couldn't be with, like, maybe you were used to kind of, so I was used to kind of going out to bingo or speaking to my friends and things. So even though I had my beautiful family with me, that I still felt a loneliness in a different way. And I think that's really important, that that loneliness isn't just one set thing, like you're lonely, that's it. It can be for different reasons.
And that's the thing. It's like, I think one takeaway from this in general is that, like, change is scary, but everyone has it in their lives. Everyone faces some sort of change or difference in, like, rhythm in their lives, and you shouldn't be scared of it, and you should embrace it. And it's really important to actually have that in your life. So if things don't seem as though like they're going well, like, just give it some time,
Yeah.
and just remember to just breathe, look after yourself, be kind to yourself, and just know that better times are coming.
And talk to people as well. If you can reach out, even if it doesn't have to be someone that, a friend or a family member. There's lots of services out there, but there's also kind of different types of groups as well that they set up throughout the year, especially kind of when it comes to like the winter period. Look at what's happening in your community as well, and maybe get involved, or maybe kind of step out that conversation of volunteering. And actually, if you want to kind of make sure you've got hobbies and things to do, and you're kind of accepting your feelings and everything in that way, it's okay the opposite side as well, to, like, if you just want to spend a day at home kind of wrapped up in a blanket watching lots of films or whatever you're kind of
that's
into.
not a bad thing at all, to have those moments, like, because we all need to recharge,
Yeah.
Feelings of isolation still come, or feelings of loneliness have come from time to time.
Throughout the year, I wouldn't even put it down to a winter
Yeah.
period. I think that it's sporadical. Is that a word? Yes, it is.
Sporadic. I thought it was sporadical.
Sporadical.
Or is it
there we go.
sporadical?
Yeah, well, someone let us know. It comes at, like, intermittently. There we go. I don't realise it's happening as well, and then it's just that kind of, I've felt this kind of feeling before, and then I recognise, and then I kind of do something. I either do something for myself, or I either keep myself busy, or so there's never one set thing that I do to I say conquer it. It's not that. It's just kind of going through the emotion.
You learn to deal with it, don't
Yeah.
you? And it's actually good that you can, recognise it. Because, some people, when they first experiencing these, like, intense emotions, like, they're not always going to know exactly what it is, and they need to do some, like, some good, like, soul searching and everything to, like, find out what it is. But once you can recognise it, then you can act on it, right?
I love Christmas, I have to point that out. I know, obviously The Office, it started to get really nice, and putting Christmas music on, it's great. But that's, so for me, my comfort zone around Christmas time, especially kind of when you're talking about it being dark, cold, I put my lights on my house, make hot chocolate for the family, we sit and watch Christmas films. So I have that aspect of kind of supporting that. but I do realise that there's so many people out there that don't, or even if they do celebrate Christmas, don't have the access that I might have. And I suppose I can only kind of, I can't understand to the full extent because I'm not been in that situation, because I've always tried to grasp onto Christmas as like that's the thing. So it's difficult to imagine what it would, how loneliness would be at that kind of period of time.
Yeah, I think that's another thing that, like, we take for granted as well. Like, obviously, like, we associate Christmas time as like a time where, like, all families come together and like everyone travels in and they all go to one house and they have a massive Christmas dinner. They open presents.
It's those movies, isn't
So
it?
it's literally like movie style Christmas.
Oh, sorry, films.
Film, yeah,
Whichever way.
yeah, tomato.
Resonates with everyone.
But the reality is that that's just not the case for like so many people, and there's so many people who's like, they feel like they have like dysfunctional families, and they just don't like mesh very well, or like even if you come from like a care leaver background, right, who they don't have necessarily any family to go back to, and like it's hard to put yourself in that position, but I don't think it's very hard to sort of to take a minute to just to think of like, if you try and put yourself in their shoes and like being just sort of thoughtful, and if you can like lend a hand where you can in those instances, and like even offer some sort of like support, just even knowing that like there's someone there for them, like even like talking to them, or like just offering like offering to go, I don't know, go out for some cup of tea or something, or cup of coffee. Well, put coffee in my case, but like
I'm always happy to go for a cup of coffee with someone.
Yeah.
So
well, kindness costs nothing.
No.
I feel like everyone should be doing it to everyone, but especially for the people who need it. And they won't always show it either. They won't always show that they're struggling either.
I couldn't imagine being on any. So we're talking about all year round. I couldn't imagine being alone on, like on special occasions that I celebrate throughout the year. It fills me with like dread. So I can kind of sense kind of how that might seem for other people.
That's the norm for so many people, though.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
Like, for them, they can't imagine having someone there for Christmas.
Yeah.
Like their normal is.
It's like flip side, that they're used to, I suppose used to it is a word, but they kind of adapt,
It's just a different walk of life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what would you, I suppose we've talked about kind of like reaching out to the community or kind of finding things that interest you, but kind of what do you feel is probably an important aspect of kind of, how to get through that kind of loneliness spell? Because it might be, hopefully I don't want anyone to feel lonely like all the time and every day. I mean, that would not be nice, but what would be your top kind of...
Well, I think
for you, I meant, like, what would you do?
for me, so I'm quite... I like to really sort of like feel the emotion. This is just for me, because like I feel like naturally I'm more of like a creative soul. It's important to first of all recognise what you're feeling, and knowing what you're feeling is okay, because at the end of the day, it's just an emotion, and it's energy. It's energy in motion, emotion, and like energy in motion, it will flow through you. You just have to. Sometimes there's not really an easy fix for it. You just have to sort of like let it go, but just know that like it's normal. It's okay. I think we're quite lucky to live in like the I think is it the informational age, where like we have like access obviously to the internet and like smartphones and stuff and social media. And this is probably a good point where while social media can be bad because you could see like what other people, see that they're having like a better time than you necessarily, when that obviously isn't the case for some people. But like there's so many ways that you can get in contact with like friends and stuff. So even like dropping your friend like a message to say like, hey, how you doing? Or like, do you want to like hop on a call? Do you want to like I don't know, play some games together? Do you want to like go hang out? Do you want to do something? Do you want to organise something? And understandably as well, it can be quite difficult to like reach out to that person. But I think having that bravery and even like initiating the first sort of message is still a little win. Well, it's a little step, but it's a big win, you know, for yourself.
I agree, and I think
Yeah.
that because social media is so accessible now to so many people, like I remember kind of my first phone was a Nokia. It was like had Snake on it. It was really good, but you would text or call. That would be it. So you wouldn't kind of been able to kind of do all the things that we can do now. And like you said, social media is either going to fit well with someone, or it'll be a case of actually that's not going to help me at this moment. I need to put my phone down and do something else, or a case of actually social media is, because I suppose that's the upside. Like there is good parts to social media, but there's also the bad parts. But that's everyday life, I think.
Oh yeah, definitely.
With everything.
Yeah. I just realised, linking back to what I was talking about before, I forgot to mention, I think it's really good to like, in general, like practice any sort of art. So like that could be like drawing, could be making music, singing, doing a bit of acting. And like when you're kind of feeling these strong emotions, that's almost the best time where you can like do this creative thing, like do this art, where like you can turn something that's like harrowing and you can turn it into beauty, you know.
Oh,
And I
like
think that's
that.
very, I
That's
think
really
it's very
good.
sort of, it really nourishes the soul, I think, and it will help you on like so many levels. So, you know, if you're feeling a certain way, like a certain emotion, you can't describe it, maybe you can sing about it, you know, maybe you can write a song, maybe you can like play an instrument, you can make a melody.
I'd love to play an instrument.
Yeah, I'm still learning guitar.
It's never too late.
It's never too late, no.
No.
Maybe you can learn like clarinet.
Violin.
Yeah, violin, saxophone,
Yeah.
trombone,
Drums.
drums, beatbox.
That's quite a nice little thing as well, drums, because if you're frustrated at the same time,
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
you just want to take your mind off things. You just get the sticks out and just be like, right, I'm drumming it now.
Oh yeah. There's also like going to the gym as well, like, you know, keeping up with your fitness.
Yeah.
You know, people have these things, they call them like winter arcs. I think it's quite funny. They have, you know, it's that winter is their prime time to like go to the gym and just like, you know, just shut everything out and just like, you know, like work out. You know.
But that could be like, yeah, like you said, it's their hobby, it's their interest, it takes their mind off things, and you know, the gym can see it in other words. I'm like one of those people that I something like that I've eaten that's warm, and then you can kind of relax and just. Yeah, I'm kind of definitely a homebody person. Like I just like
do you like to make like sort of like comfort food and stuff?
Yeah, I think. Do you know what? It's really interesting because obviously there's things that people do that might not always necessarily be good for the body, but actually if it's good for the mind at the time, I'm actually all for that. If you're making a really delicious hot chocolate that's like a lot of calories, but it's actually going to cheer you up, go for it. Put loads of cream on it, put those sprinkles on, marshmallows, whatever. Because I think at that time, if that's something that you need, that's going to comfort you, just then, you know, in the long run, it's always, you know, making sure that you add, you know, you do watch your diet or your physics. It's not always about kind of, you know, it's just healthy eating.
But life's about living as well. Life's about experiences
So
and nice
having
experiences.
those little treats and things like that.
Yeah, allow yourself, definitely.
Yeah.
And just know as well, a lot of people are in the same boat, and a lot of people do, you know, around Christmas time or like winter time, holiday time, they do, you know, a lot of them do fall off the diet. in general, myself included, you know. Like if I go see my family, like the biscuits are out and all that, or like cheese as well, like, you know, all like great, like just really,
Love cheese.
yeah, pigs in blankets. You know,
We've kind of
or
moved on to like the food aspect
Yeah.
now, which I think would actually be great for a separate podcast.
Definitely.
Can you imagine just food?
Yeah, I could talk about food.
That'd be like a lot of interest because, well, I definitely can talk about food, but I think the best thing for anyone to know is that it's okay to feel lonely, but please do what's good for you and right for you. And you know, if that's reaching out, if that's a hobby, if that's talking to someone, if that's getting involved in your community, or you know, it's just something. But or it's sitting in your room and putting music on, or nothing at all. Silence can actually be quite good. It just depends on
It's all about, yeah,
Who?
having silence and self-reflection.
Yeah.
Like, only you really know like what's best for you.
Yeah.
Like, and only you in yourself is going to know that. So,
Yeah.
listen to yourself. You know, don't listen to others. Only listen to yourself. Do what genuinely makes you happy. You know, 'cause it's the most important time during winter.
Because what's right for me and what's right for you might not be right for everyone else, and that's okay.
Yeah. Although hot chocolate, I mean, like,
Yeah.
I think it's right for.
I'd be interested to
people.
know, like, who doesn't like hot chocolate? Because everyone I've kind of met likes hot chocolate.
I don't love it.
No, but you like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can take it or leave it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So, but I have never met anyone that's literally like, no. Have you stopped recording? Oh, bloopers this time, isn't it? It's going to be bloopers.
You know what he's like.
He's going to do like something really sneaky, like with the photo and the mouth open, and then he's picked that one.
You did that.
But I was saying bananas at the time.
Well, Amy, I tell you what, I have been drinking a lot more water, and you should too. Do you know why?
Why?
Because Harold said so. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Bucks Students Podcast.
Wee. No, can we do that again? I don't want to do wee. Thanks for joining
So
the Bucks.
Thanks for joining this.
So, do you want to say thanks for joining? No. No.
I'll see you the next episode.
Tangle, isn't it? Bucks Students Podcast.
It's really not.